recording as well.
All right.
Okay, we're live. Let me just refresh my YouTube page. It still says upcoming. Let's see. Is it recording? Yeah. All right. Looking good too. Okay. We're here. Hello.
What up?
What up?
It's interesting to do this. This is a first for both of us, I guess, right? Split podcast type of thing.
This is a crossover. And I think the way that Loki and I discussed it, folks, is what we're going to do is we're going to have a mega conversation, or we're just going to have a conversation. And wherever that conversation like meets in the middle, like wherever the middle part of the conversation is, we're going to chop it in half, and one half of the conversation will be on my side of things and the other half will be on his side of things. So if you want to continue hearing the conversation, you'll simply jump from one channel to the other. And that's the beauty of a crossover podcast episode.
Fucking A. I'm learning as I go here.
Yeah. I think you're doing a great job, man.
Thank you. I didn't know that I'd be good at it. Cause like, even in like my personal life, when I talk to someone on the phone, I'm really quick. Like, hey, I need this. Talk to you later.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not much of a conversationalist, but I get on this podcast and I'm having like fucking 3-hour conversations with just about everyone.
I've listened to several of them on my walks, mostly the Joe casts. When I do night walks I walk 4 miles at night, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
So that's really good.
Well, he's the easiest one to talk to because I've been friends with him since like 98.
Yeah.
And
you guys
that guy could just talk.
You guys go way the fuck back. I should.
Yeah, dude. Pre Mr. Monster.
Pre Mr. Monster. Listen, let me blow a little smoke up your ass. If I'm being honest, I'm gonna blow a little smoke up your ass. I gotta hand it to you. I think, first of all, you're doing a phenomenal job with the podcasting stuff. You're doing good. You're doing great. Just keep churning out the content. And that's not like, I'm not trying to say that as like, not like I'm a fucking expert. I'm
right
in the same boat. I'm in the same boat figuring it out, but just watching from a distance, I think you're doing a phenomenal job. And I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Appreciate it.
Number two, after hearing I'd heard Joe talk about you, like when we were on tour and stuff, or I just hear in passing, like I'd always hear about some of the stuff, but hearing you two talk about like your relationship and what you did has led me to really understand. And, again, I see things from an outside, like a super outsider perspective. So I had like an idea of what I thought, just the way that I thought that Goolsby was the reason that you guys had like, made it over there to cross the pond, which you clarified for me. Thank you for that. But
I watched, let me cut you off here for a second. I watched that podcast because there's a lot of shit going on personally. And it just came up on my my YouTube feed, just the shit that you watch. And I'm like, and I saw it. I'm like, all right, let's listen to what this guy has to say. And damn, bro, like you went in. And like most of it was right.
Yeah, and I wanted to know that. I wanted to know if I had I wasn't sure if I had everything right.
And I wasn't like interjecting to like, no, dude, you got it wrong. Like I was just like part of the story. Like I found it interesting of what other people think. I'm like, no, that's really not how it went. And I did kind of want to talk to you like a few of those things for history's sake, I guess. Fucking like, oh yeah, this happened, or maybe it didn't happen that way or whatever. So yeah. But I saw that podcast at a time where I was very angry.
Well, I felt the need. Okay, so it was definitely like, as I said to you off air, it was definitely a little gossipy to do for sure. But it was also kind of like the thing that was happening within that community.
Yeah.
And also, I did take it personally because of, like the shit that I was seeing online about, when I said that I justified my shit talking by saying like, look at what the Crimson Ghost is becoming with the Proud Boys and shit. I don't want, I don't don't want to stand for that. I want to draw a line in the sand. So that's what, that was all about.
Yeah. It's tough being in the family per se, and like, you know, it's what, I can't be proud of the things we did, you know what I mean, like because it's that tainted now. Like, I don't know, it's just, it's
no,
tough.
Loki, you can't be a proud boy.
Right. You know what I'm saying though. Like, just like you look at the Crimson Ghost, like, oh man, it's standing for something else. Well, like now all the things I've done stand for something else. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of fucked up.
Well, I mean, that was the thing that was the other thing. And I get, you know, that was what was so interesting to me more than anything, because again, you know, like all that shit pops up on my Facebook, like, oh, Michael Graves is going on this tour. I know Loki, you know, Loki. And at one point you had Ghouls in the band, and, you know, Joe was in the band for a while, you know, you guys really turned that around. Although after listening to the last episode, I like really got a firm understanding of, you know, my view in that initial episode I did was a very simplistic view of a much more nuanced situation.
Right. As it usually is in life.
Yes.
You know.
Yes, this is true. And I mean, we could keep riffing down this, but let's actually take it back. Yeah. I want to ask you this question before we get into all that, because we could probably just riff on that forever. I want to ask you, do you remember the first time that we met? And I'm wondering if it's the same. I remember the first time we met, but I don't think you know the first time we met.
Was it the interview for Ghouls Night Out?
No.
It wasn't our video, was it?
No.
Then I don't remember.
So
was it with Rami?
No, it was not with Rami. Actually, you know what's funny? I didn't become like bros with Rami until I was way outside of all this horror punk stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know, I had met him at Ghouls Night Out, G-Nox, but I had and I bumped into his sister there too. I had no idea that Rami grew up one town over from me my whole life.
Yeah.
And B, I didn't understand how enmeshed he was in Misfit Central initially. And I was like, wait, Rami is Rami Stein. Oh shit. You know, so we actually have become pretty good friends in the years since. We even saw you guys. We went to go see Nimvind,
yeah,
Goolsby, and Michael Graves, which is the only time I've ever seen Michael Graves outside of what I shot for him.
So. Me and that dude, I didn't know you shot anything for him, by the way. But me and that dude, Rami, have rode down several times and done a lot of delinquent things together.
He's
throughout
a great
the years.
Guy.
Yeah.
Talk about a guy who could talk. He's a great guy, a truly great guy. He's going to be on the Misfits thing. We're going to talk about Misfits Central eventually.
Yeah,
at some point.
I'm interested in that, man. Like, they came from Lodi and like the era of the Misfits that you're covering over there. Like,
well, wait, before we get there, hold on 1 second. Let me go back to Gizzy's in 2011, December 2011.
Gizzy's.
And yeah, that's like a little venue in the West Village in New York City. And so what happened was, because I was actually just listening to the last night's episode, which I guess this is a Tuesday, so you recorded with Joe on Monday,
right?
And you did your big bombshell, you know, content episode. And I heard, it was interesting to hear you, like you guys were going through the chronology, however the fuck you say that word, through the times of your guys' career. And you mentioned so Gizzy's, I befriended Bob Bloodfeast. I met him at a chiller. It was Michael, Bob, Sal B was there, Doyle was there, Dr. Chud was there, Erie Vaughn was there,
damn,
Bobby Steele was there, and Mike Hideous were there, and they were all in the same room.
And I was there.
No, you were not there.
Okay,
I was at Chiller. I met Bob Bloodfeast. We started talking.
Gotcha. I got you.
And Bob at the time, because you're talking about, this is this period when I was just listening to the episode. You're like, this is this period where I wasn't really around. Yeah. So my POV was that Bob was just like Michael's like assistant, minion, producer, facilitator kind of guy.
It's fair to say,
right? You know, just like this guy, merch guy, just all the you know, right hand man sort of situation. And he was really interested in sort of like doing like bootleg Michael Graves shows, like official bootleg Michael Graves shows. Like he wanted to like shoot he wanted to shoot graves and then like burn them to DVDs and sell them and do like limited runs. And I thought this was a really interesting idea. And he was peddling them around at Chiller. And he said to me, we got to talking, and that led to me coming down to Gizzy's, which is a tiny little venue, like almost like a coffee open mic type situation, to shoot a Michael Graves acoustic show. He was playing with Chibo in the band, Frankie Cheese.
Yep.
It was just him and Frankie Cheese. And lo and behold, Tom from Graves showed up. I met Tom, nice guy. And you showed up too. And from, I think it was Bob who said it or somebody else said it. Because we literally just met ever so briefly, but I had known who you are because I had been familiar with Michael's band, yada, yada, yada. And he said that somebody said that it was the first time that you and Michael had seen each other in a very long time.
Yeah, that's possible.
That was December 2011.
Right. Because I did play a few shows with him in 2009, but they were like one-offs. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't in any band with him, but like if we were gonna do like I'll call it the legacy set. We all know what that is. If we were gonna do a legacy set, me and Joe were usually the guys to be called to do that.
I'm sorry. What is what do you mean a legacy set?
It's just
like,
his best,
and
not and anything pre 2006. You know, like those are all like,
dude, I don't really know
songs.
Michael Graves that well.
Yeah.
I'm kind of embarrassed to say I know he had the two albums, and I know he had I know there was the Graves record, and I know he did some acoustic shit.
Yeah. So pretty much everything from Punk Rock is Dead and before, which includes the Graves stuff, the Gotham Road stuff, and the Misfits stuff. Like
that's a legacy set.
That's like his punk rock, hard rock stuff, and everything after that is kind of shifted into acoustic. More or acoustic and like, you know, Oasis type rock and roll, like stuff like that.
Yeah, so that really kind of plays into the whole like Michael Graves persona thing of like there's this guy and then there's this guy and then there's this guy, and he just sort of like jumps into these roles.
Yeah,
I guess. Okay, well, in any case, that's where we ever so briefly had met.
And it's probably the first time me and Tom had been in a room together since the Graves days.
Yeah, I just remember Bob making a big deal about something. I didn't really understand it. And like I said, when I heard Michael play those songs, and he did a good job, you know, again, I love, even now, even after all the shit, even no matter what I think about, you know, those 95 Misfits records, I love, you know, that American Psycho record is great. Right. I grew up on that record. So, you know, no matter what, it's going to be great. But, you know, I love that song Teenage Monster is a good song. That's a really great song.
Right.
I remember the only time, my only familiarity with Gotham Road was actually going back to like Napster days when I was like just discovering the world. Everybody was discovering the world of Napster, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I remember doing a search for Michael Graves, and You Awful Me MP3 came up, and that was it. And I had no idea if it was real or not.
I remember in Napster, like everyone's trying to not have their music on there, and I was leaking all my shit onto there. I'm like, this is how, I'm like, this is how people will find my music. Like, so I was leaking my own stuff. I'm like, this is how we're gonna fucking get our music out there.
All right, this is a heavy question because we're like in the middle of like introductory shit, but I'm just gonna throw this out there and we'll go back to the other stuff. I'll steer the ship when necessary, if you don't mind. Were Lars and James, were they right, man? Were they fucking right or were they wrong?
They were both.
I think they were so fucking right, dude.
They were both, because it's become, you know, the industry needed to change. The labels were raping the artists. Okay. And this kind of forced the hand because the labels kind of lost power. And it was an opportunity for, yes, it sucked for musicians and it kind of killed like the rock, you know, the $1 million budgets for rock and roll and all that shit. But it put more power to the artist because we found it gives the artist different ways to make money. For example, crowdfunding and stuff like that. That's just another version of a label, but taking in your own hands. I think it forced a pivot, but it did. They were also right. Like they weren't 100% right, but they were mostly right.
So I think your answer slightly conflates fucking you're talking about the rise of the internet versus Napster. Like the idea of what Napster is doing is essentially like for better or for worse, no matter what. Like this is not there's no morality in what I'm about to say. It's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah, what happened?
Right. What happened was suddenly music was free. Music became free no matter what. And that is what I mean by were they right or were they wrong? Because the rise of the internet is a fucking amazing thing. The rise of the internet empowers all sorts of independent artists to basically say, fuck you labels. As you were just saying, the labels were fucking everybody over. Right. And it's like, fuck you labels. This is your karma. If you were the right kind of businessman, if you have the right branding sense, you essentially can facilitate everything yourself. If you have the audience there to buy things.
Napster was an introduction to how you find music on Spotify today.
True. Spotify's the legal Napster.
The reason I leaked our shit on Napster is if I fucking put keywords in there to search, like Misfits or Michael Graves, you were going to find our music.
Well, I did. I did.
And before there were platforms to do that, little artists like me, let's say if I wanted to put my stuff with the Foo Fighters, if you fucking search Foo Fighters, Gotham Road would probably pop up. So that was like for little guys, it would work. But for established bands that had label support like that, it killed them, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. I can tell you as a Spotify consumer personally, again, so who am I? I'm a filmmaker, videographer, non-musician, media consumer, right? So for me, Spotify is my wet dream come true, 1,000-fold. Because and listen, I would be fucking lying to you. I'd be lying through my teeth if I said I didn't do my fair share of Napstering, as any youngster or whoever, however old you were when Napster was around, indulged in. But
I was more of a Kazaa guy. I had
same
Kazaa.
difference.
right.
LimeWire, they're all the same. File sharing stuff. Then there's Mega Upload, there's Media Fire, there's all sorts of.
I got to tell you, before this stuff happened, I was already a pirate. Because I was, even back when cassettes were a thing, like I would fucking Scotch tape the top tab. So I know. Yeah. And then I fucking dub all my friends' fucking tapes onto.
There's really no difference. There's really no difference when you think about it. You think there's a lot of people that cried foul at Napster, but at the same time had no problem dubbing tape. As a matter of fact, how do you think people discovered the fucking Misfits after they broke up? They took all those. What that band did, any smart band, what they do, and especially it's different in the YouTube age. I'll tell you, I'm gonna name drop someone here. I gotta hand it to a guy like Robbie Bloodshed, and I'll tell you why. Because what Robbie Bloodshed's doing is all he does is he just makes fucking music videos. Yeah. This is the smartest thing you could fucking do.
Well, he's a good-looking young kid. I can't make music videos. No one wants to see me.
You can listen. It's just not what kind of music video.
He gets his Freddie Mercury chest hair out a little bit. He's a good-looking young kid. He could do that. Us old guys got to figure something else out.
But what's interesting is it's like the parallel to like the 80s and 90s is that like, those bands, bands like the Misfits, they put a bunch of 7-inches out. They die. The 7 inches are all that's out there, and people start fucking making tapes. And then they make tapes of tapes, and then they make tapes of tapes of tapes. And it's the same thing with like YouTube and Spotify, where you put your stuff, it's like a message in a bottle. You put it out there, the algorithms do the rest. And then if you're an avid, music consumer, you're going to discover all sorts of incredibly cool shit. And there's no payola involved, like radio payola from the 60s. Yep. Like you don't have to pay someone off just to get the gate open. It's just all fucking there at your fingertips if you know what you're doing. And so if you're a musician today, you should just be fucking, fucking churning that shit out. Like, making content, however, whether it's doing a Patreon or making music videos or
I agree. You should, you should stretch it out and just to maintain relevancy.
Yeah.
Once, twice a month, bi-weekly, and just put something out like that, just to keep your name out there and keep creating content. That's the way to go.
But
instead of dropping an album once a year and then disappearing for two, or
yes, I thoroughly agree. And but that's what's so funny about but that's also what's so funny about something like Napster, in the sense of people are crying foul of Napster, but it's just this, it's just the updating of the technology. It's the same thing we've been doing forever and ever. It's really about the people. When I consume music on Spotify, I discover all sorts of bands. The algorithm gods are fucking really nice to me, and they bring me shit that I really fucking love. And then what I do as a music fan is, when I see those bands are coming to town through Spotify, because Spotify has this great feature where it says, oh, so-and-so is going to be in town, I'm fucking at that show. And the first thing I do, because I've listened to all of your music for pennies, whatever the cents are, I go right to that fucking merch booth. I'm buying a t-shirt and I'm buying a fucking record. And that's the way that I support the arts. And that's the way I say sorry for all of the incredible amount of illegal downloading that I used to do back in the day. I just feel like it's my eternal amends to support. And plus I love going to shows and fucking meeting bands and stuff. So I feel like for the right, moral music listener, Spotify is the shit, dude.
Yeah. I have to make more of amends than just Napster, because before that, I was ripping off BMG and Columbia House by fucking signing up every family member that, even if they were dead, even my dead people, they'd sign up for Columbia House, and they just sent you fucking 10 CDs for fucking free. Okay, here's 10 family members, bro.
What a bad business model.
Right.
What a terrible, but that's the thing. When digital files didn't exist, imagine if they tried to do that with digital files. It'd just be yeah, sure. No skin off our ass, server space. It's back then you had to press up a fucking, CDs and shit and put it out there. I don't know.
It was great. I loved it. My parent, at one point I did get caught or whatever, but I was already 100 CDs in, so I didn't give a fuck.
What happened when you got caught? They just banned you?
Nothing. They just
what are they gonna do?
I was I was 16 years old. You're gonna put that against my credit? Go ahead.
Oh right, I guess your credit would get affected.
Right, but it didn't, because it wasn't my name.
Right.
I think I did it under a dead person's name, and that's, my parents were like, "What the fuck is this?"
IP freely.
Right.
So now to loop back around, the next time that you and I cross paths. So I had a whole bunch of interactions with Michael Graves when you weren't around. That was when you were talking. You said you weren't familiar with how Carmen, Johnny B. Morbid, and Chibo was the guitar player, and they didn't have that. There was no Tony guy. There was a guy who was friends with somebody who was there for this one-off show, and this was supposed to be Michael Graves live at Europa, and it never came out. And this is when I don't think that Mark guy was in the picture yet, but he was very close to being in the picture, and that's when Bobby left. Bobby left when Mark came in the picture, and that didn't work out. And then right after that, we met again, and you were not with Michael Graves. You were doing Darrow. And it was Ghouls Night Out.
Right.
And that's when we were all hanging out at Sam's house, Joe and Sam's house.
Yeah. And you did a string of interviews. I'm not sure if you did my interview, but we did a string of interviews at Ghouls Night Out, right?
So Ghouls Night Out, I've never spoken about this publicly. I'm sure I'll be speaking about a bunch more publicly, depending.
Whoops, sorry.
No, cool, I don't care. So Ghouls Night Out was the busiest day of the year of the US leg of, I worked my fucking ass off. I shot 2 episodes of Rock and Roll Cooking with Sal B. I did The Independents and I did Blitz Kid. I was rolling from the moment we woke up. I was rolling footage inside of Joe and Sam's house. I saw, when that was when Jason came over and saw Goolsby. They had first time that they had seen each other since their whole whatever their thing.
Yeah.
And patch things up. So they're hanging out. and you're there, and we're talking about the last day of tour or whatever, and you were telling us about the Spirit Horse. I remember hearing that story because that tour had just happened, and then we went to Ghouls Night Out. The whole day, the whole fucking day, I'm interviewing fans. I'm interviewing Tracy and Steve, like off to the side. Then I'm like running in, trying to catch this set, trying to catch that set, like little clips of that. Interviewing anybody who like lives super far away that we couldn't get to on our tour.
Right.
And then shooting the most ambitious show. It was 6 cameras, soundboard audio. I got 2 other shooters to come down, one of which I didn't even know, just through Stripes, actually. I think it was Stripes' friend,
right,
who shot on Tracy's side. And we shot this show, and some of it has been seen on YouTube a little bit with all 6 cameras. And then after that, the next day, that's when we shot our interview. We just kept I was just rolling. I don't know how much stuff was captured that day, but it was a lot of shit.
Damn, son. So is that all just sitting in a vault?
It's all sitting on hard drives until either I buy a new hard drive, which I don't want to shell out the money out of my pocket for.
Right.
So, it's not a matter of if, but at some point, if the hard drives fail, then the hard drives fail and it's gone.
The scariest fucking thing ever, dude. I have so much information sitting in hard
solid state drives, bro. It's like, I need solid state, and it's just so fucking expensive, man.
Yeah.
And I don't want to fucking pay out of pocket for it, like.
I feel you.
But at the same time, it's like, I don't want stuff to be lost, but it probably will. I'll just put this out there right now. That thing is dead in the water, will never be seen by the light of day or anything. It's like, that is just footage on a hard drive forevermore.
All that work. Damn.
You know what? Great experiences. Some of it was great. I met so many people. I have contacts that I still keep to this day. I learned a lot about shooting live. I shot 55 Blitzkid shows. And learned a lot about like live clubs and how the best place to shoot stuff. And again, I was doing it all by myself. So it's like I had these clamps here. This is from the tour. This is one of those clamps. And I would just clamp a camera, actually one of these cameras. You just clamp a camera onto the side of whatever and just, sort of hold it up and shoot stuff and, hope it doesn't vibrate from all the low end from those fucking instruments you guys play. Oh, I need my low end to be higher. Turn it up higher.
Spoken like a non-guitarist.
Spoken like a non-musician too.
Yeah.
That was a very fucking busy fucking day. And that's when we did our interview, and your interview was very touching. I remember you talked about your,
I don't remember what I talked about.
You talked about Blitzkid. You talked about Ghouls Night Out. You talked about wanting to be a musician and what it takes. And you told me the story about your leaving home because your parents didn't support your dream and, something like
People
that.
think I'm kidding about that. No, that happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, it's like, it's funny. I recently got into it with somebody who's a musician, and, there were things I didn't say to them. I held my tongue. But, there's this one thing, and I think this is true about being a musician or being committed to art in general.
Right.
Did you ever see King Kong?
Of course.
All right. No, I'm talking about with Jack Black. The Jack
Black.
I've
seen,
All right. You remember the scene where Adrian Brody is on the ship and Jack Black tricks him into staying on the ship, and he's writing him a check, and he comes up, he sees that there's something up. He goes onto the deck and he's getting ready to jump for the pier. Because if he jumps to the pier, he might be able to make it to his play. And he steps back and then he hesitates. He doesn't jump.
Yep.
And he stays on the ship. And Jack Black says, to me, the single truest thing about musicians and musicianship, he said, if you really loved it, you would have jumped.
Yeah.
And to me, that is what Joe was talking about when you're saying licking floors. That's licking floors.
Right.
If you really love it, you'll jump.
yeah, there's a lot of people who think they want it, and then when it comes time to you know, grind your teeth on the fucking floor, man, they're like, ah, that looks. I don't know if I want to do that anymore. You know.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I'm like, this is like, so I mean, which makes the thing I'm thinking of instantaneously is I'm thinking about Michael Graves. I'm thinking
Right.
about like how you guys were talking yesterday, and you're talking about how like Michael wasn't really into it until Mark came into the picture, because Mark's a businessman and Mark's setting him up with Kickstarters, and
Right.
I mean, they're fucking doing 6 figures in business, and I tell you, I'm interested because, like I said, I want my only dream in life is to be a artist that's my own boss, that's making money off of my art. That's it. That's all I want to fucking do. I want autonomy. And the problem is I got a fucking mortgage. I chose to have a fucking family, and then all that shit, that thing, talking about maybe not the jumping scenario, because there were several times where I totally fucking jumped, but definitely like wanting to have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
I wanted to do both. I wanted to have a family. I wanted to do the artist thing. And I'm probably not where I want to be because I tried to do everything instead of just fucking, you hear it from fucking famous people all the time. They're like, if you don't fucking make this your sole fucking thing, you're not going to fucking do it.
Yeah. Especially from the ground up, man. Like, once you establish yourself, maybe you can start thinking about all the other things that you want in life. But, from my experience, starting from the ground up, like I had to make a choice. Like this was a choice that I am not going to fucking have a family at home, that because I was grinding for a long time, dude, just constantly either out on tour or doing whatever.
Yeah.
There's a sacrifice to that. Right. And I made a conscious decision to want to do that because it's all I've ever wanted. It to me was a no-brainer because, like, dude, honestly, I can point to a time when I was 6 years old. Like, no, this is what I want.
And you tasted it, and that was what, again, watching your story from a distance, and again, obviously, like when I saw you guys in Long Island, that you guys were on the fucking top. You were on the top of the fucking world. You had this fucking power juggernaut, fucking package, and you know what? No matter what I felt about Michael Graves after, like, he kind of did me, to be honest, he did me a little dirty, but he made up for it.
Right.
Although I get the gist that after hearing your guys' experiences, that this was just kind of part of like a pattern of how he, carried himself. And, I had, Goolsby and I had our stuff, but it's like seeing you guys do your thing at that show. I was genuinely happy for all you guys. And like, wow, what an excellent situation. They are a well-oiled machine. They got 3 powerful acts. It's just everything's firing on all cylinders. And to watch him do what he did made me angry. And that's why I fucking was ranting and raving,
right?
And being like, what the fuck? What about, but why are you saying this shit? You're going to just fucking not consult with Loki? Isn't he the fucking, because here's what when I said I wanted to blow smoke up your ass, I'm going to blow smoke up your ass. You're the fucking MVP in the sense of, if you ever decided to make the switch, and again, I know you don't know anything about it, but you would make a fabulous fucking film producer. You would be phenomenal, because all a film producer really does, besides the creative shit, a film producer is a fixer, is someone that fucking like gets shit done, like understands business, has, is brash, right. Is someone, you have all those qualities. So what kind of baffles my mind about a guy like Michael, or whatever the situation may be, is like, why the fuck aren't you keeping this guy happy? Keep this guy as happy as he fucking can be, because this guy's fucking driving your boat. You don't even got to drive your own boat. Just fucking kick up and be fucking Michael Graves. Like, why fucking, like, why destroy it?
Yeah. It's that one moment in time. Because I mean, for the most part, that dude took care of me, especially financially, in the times where we're fucking killing it.
So he did keep you happy.
We were killing it. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, there's this, when the shit finally hit the fan, there's a sense of like this, I don't have to worry. I I don't have to worry about what anyone else thinks of this or what happens to anyone else. And I wasn't even looking at just strictly from my point of view. Like they're all of us, everyone that we worked with, we're all small businesses. We all struggled, and especially during a pandemic, struggling to keep our doors open. Our VIP guy, our agents, the promoters, the venue owners.
And you did all that shit, right? You were the guy, you were the point man for all that.
Yeah, I was running point on everything, like I would do all the stuff, and then I would tell Michael, what is this cool? He'd be like, yeah, it's cool. All right. And then I would just go back and fucking execute it all. But
so you essentially had a brand. You had a brand that a dude, you know what it's like? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'll shut up in 1 second. It's almost like Michael Graves owned a car that he didn't give a shit about. And he's like, here's the keys. Drive my car for me. And it's like the car is like essentially a Michael Graves brand. He was given a gift. He got kicked out, he left the Misfits or kicked out of whatever the fuck happened with the Misfits.
Right.
He went through his Graves thing, he went through his Gotham Road thing, and finally got to a place where it's like what he should have been doing the moment he left the fucking Misfits. It was like, okay, you have this fucking clout for being the singer of an incarnation of the Misfits. Now just go out and build the fucking brand of this name and just fucking just go. And it's just like, after hearing this episode from people, you have to listen to that yesterday's episode to know what I'm talking about. But just like the amount of, there's a saying that, Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers and New York Dolls, there was a saying about him. He would snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yep.
And that's what, that was the theme that I kept seeing. Getting hooked up with a guy. Tell me more about this John. Who exactly was this John Nelson guy?
John Nelson, he came into the picture, I guess. I don't know. I guess he wanted to do this horror label, and was recruiting Michael to fucking be on that label and to do something that was, Gotham Road was considered just a departure from what made Michael famous. It was considered too metal, just a departure from like everything that people liked about Michael. So John Nelson was like, yo, come back to this fucking world. I'll help you put out a record and I'll give you X amount of dollars. And at the time, dude, Michael's fucking broke just like the rest of us at that time. Right. So got some money put in front of him to make an album, and he fucking did it. And that's how the Horror High stuff started. But
this guy, John Nelson, he also had Wednesday 13. Who else was on that label?
I don't know, but he was trying to get
Zombies was on that label.
Yeah, I do remember them, but I don't know about like his inner workings with every other artist. But you know, me and him, he didn't want me from the get go,
right?
And then we just butted heads every time because I don't know. I've constantly butted heads with other people and authority figures. That's usually how it's gone in my life, just like other people who are in charge or something. Because I could see through the bullshit. I could see through bullshit.
Sure you want to know something? I don't think that's the case at all. I think that from what it sounds like, and I feel like this is the case with a lot of these horror punk guys, a lot of them just don't have good business sense.
Yeah.
And so they get in bad business situations. And you, again, I'm really not trying to fucking blow smoke. I mean, I am. I'm blowing smoke up your ass, but I'm as we discussed about stating things as they are.
Right.
You just fucking, you got your shit together enough to like be able to do all this fucking, like Rain Man manager shit that you do.
Right.
And like, you're good at it. And so when these guys get, handed some bullshit, you fucking go, wait, hey, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
And you become a problem because you won't be a part of the problem.
That's pretty much what happened. Like, as Joe was saying yesterday, and bless his heart, but Joe is the guy that just wants to be there, and he's content with just being a guy that wanted to be there at that time.
Yeah.
I was never content with just being there. Like, I want to do this for real. Like, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right. And what we do today, tomorrow's thing is gonna be better than today. Like, it's always the next thing's got to be better. And if people, I can't. I'm not a guy who's able to just see all the things that are happening that everyone's just okay with, and I can't just be okay with it. Like if I see a hole in something, I got to fill that hole. I gotta.
Yeah, but you know what else happens too? It's also like there's also like clandestine bullshit that happens behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of, we used to, when I was growing up, we used to have a thing, the term steez, STEEZ, which you might have heard from the style with ease, but a steez involved food, well, just know, like if two people are on this, the other guys doing their thing, on the down low, and I feel like I saw a lot of that with bands and in general sort of thing. Being there's happening in closed doors, no matter the situation. And I hear that at a bunch of times. We're talking.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and I just can't sit by. I'm not that guy. Whatever. I just don't. I can't sit by and watch that happen. Be a part of it happening. If you want to be this raggedy fucking bunch of group of guys, I'm not gonna do it. I'll go somewhere else. And I've always.
What was your job at Sony? You went to Sony at one point.
I worked at Sony Broadcasting.
Interesting job.
I basically took all of my experience of being a tour manager and a booking agent and all that stuff, and like found a way to make it sound great for a corporate company. And I got a fucking job at Sony Broadcasting selling contracts to,
You used your skills to fucking get yourself in there. Good for you.
And I was making fucking hand over fist, dude. But it was at a time. So by the time 2007 rolled around, both my parents had passed away. And you get to this shit. Like I'm sitting there thinking, they worked all their lives to fucking have this life, this house, and they didn't really fucking get to enjoy any of it. And here I am fucking busting my ass, like thinking about, at that point when I was working for Sony, dude, I had made up my mind that I wasn't going to do music anymore. If I did music, it would just be a one-off or whatever, just for fun.
Yeah.
But after they both went away, it changed my outlook. I'm like, what am I? I'm gonna save things for later. Like, no, I got to do things now, and that totally reinforced my my love affair with music to go back and fucking the first opportunity that I had to make it real again. I would do it.
Man, you put an LLC together. Just like put yourself like fucking like I think of and call it something and it's tour managing and booking and shit like that, and just like in a pre-COVID world, get hired by some fucking band, shit. Fuck. Like an 80. Like I don't know. But like types.
Hold on, we're having that fucking lag again, by the way.
Okay. Is the lag is happening on the
audio?
Oh, so even right now I sound laggy?
It just went away just a second.
Dude, we're going through YouTube. Wow. Oh. Just let it's a backup. Let it be its thing.
Cool. Fuck it. All right. Well, where were we then?
I don't know. No, I was saying that I think you would be great in fucking put an LLC together and like, you could like capitalize skills.
Yeah.
What kind of market for that? Income is in have no.
I was gonna get into all that, like, when my playing days are over, because I can't play forever, right? I'm gonna be 42 this month.
You could play forever. You need to learn. You're talking about being an old man. Learn how to get yoga. No. Let me slowly. Sometimes. And I turn. It was hard. Just kid. Nights would be sleeping. And on those little vinyl benches, I slept on that a couple times, and my back would seize up. My back seizes up and shit. And I'd be in excruciating pain moment. Started shit away. It's like imagine injecting into your body without stepping.
Yeah. I guess I say that now because I'm off of any touring situation. But when I'm on, I'm actually so much healthier and better off on tour. I don't know how to be home, actually. That's the problem. Like, I don't know how to do normal life at home.
Because what the thing about touring is, and again, I could not do this year in, year out. I'm glad I had my one experience. It was a great experience. Like from that perspective, I should say.
Right.
There were hard times and there were fun times, but like from that experience, that perspective, it's like I got to go across the United States. I got to go from, Moscow all the way up to fucking England. What did it fucking experience? I got to see, so much crazy shit.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, I can't, you know what it is? It's the life of a pirate. You going back to saying you're a pirate. It's a pirate's life, dude. It's just like, I got to be out on the fucking sea, like, fucking like doing my thing, being a road dog.
It's totally a pirate's life, bro. Fucking
yeah.
And I guess I got addicted to it. I don't know. I fucking love it. I love it.
Because you meet people and you never feel like you're stagnating because you're always going somewhere. If you're always going somewhere, then you're alive and you're living and you're experiencing shit. And you're not you're not XYZ who fucking stayed in Podunk Town for fucking 25 years and yada yada yada. It's like I'm doing stuff with my life. You're not fucking amateur musician who plays local shows and like talks about their career, and they've like never like been outside the tri-state area. You're actually out there doing it.
What's funny is you're not the first person to tell me that I should teach people how to be, I don't know, lack of a better term, useful or know how to do things for yourself. Like you should fucking teach people how to be a tour manager and all this stuff. Like you're not the first person to fucking say this to me.
I don't think you should teach people. I think you should be the guy. You should be hired. Like you could even play guitar.
Yeah.
Like I'm telling you, you got to invent this. And here's the thing. Don't call yourself anything that's been before. You got to fucking you got to call yourself like, I'm trying to think of a name off of the top of my head. You got to call yourself something and be like, oh, your tour needs a something. Fill in the blank.
And I just happen to be
something. And it's like, what does something cover? Well, you need to get paid from the promoter. I know how to fucking do that. You need a fucking second guitarist. I can be that second guitarist. You need a fucking driver. I could be the driver. You don't know how to, pack up your fucking, what was interesting about being on the road? I'd watch fucking Goolsby get so mad about grades, road grades. I never understood this until I was in a weighted fucking box truck.
Right.
You're driving up fucking these inclines and you're just burning fucking gas doing it, man.
Yep.
And it's just about like even listening, it's funny for a guy who doesn't drive, listening to Joe talk about fucking RVs, like the fucking knowledge. I was just blown away. It's like talking like a fucking like a savant, like about like the wear and tear and the yada yada yada. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. It's like, yes, you could put all this information in a book, or you could be like, instead of that, like, well, you could buy my book, or you could fucking hire me, or you write a handbook and then you say hire me, and then anytime someone crosses you, be like, you idiot, it's in the fucking handbook. Check the handbook, rule number 93. You know?
Yeah. Packing the trailer.
Yeah.
All that shit. Yeah.
That's like that's a challenge. Fucking, you got to get your shit weighed on certain, you know, depending on what kind of
thing.
Yeah, Goolsby had a two. He bought something specifically for 2 axles because it would be charged less than if he had 3 axles.
Yeah,
but
we almost got burned in that in Canada.
Oh,
with the box. They were trying to nail him for being a commercial vehicle without paying a commercial fucking license. But
because he kind of like operated within the Venn diagram of like this and this, right? Yeah, that's interesting. There was, oh my God, we almost rolled over in that box truck because one of the tires popped, the inner tires.
Oh my God,
dude, it was the crazy, and I got this all on fucking tape. Fucking the inner tire pops. We're on our way to a show, right? We have hours to get to the show. I think it might have been going into Nashville, and the guy goes, your inner tire is completely out of air. At any point when driving, you could have rolled over. Like, there's no seatbelts in the back of that.
Yeah, no.
Thing. If you're rolling, you're fucked.
Yeah, you're all bouncing around back there. Forget it.
And there, you know, he had rules in place about, like, you know, don't put heavy equipment on the fucking, you know, top. No. That was not the rule. And I'm not going to tell this story on the air, but let's just say that, you know, it came back to bite him pretty hard. But like, the rule was don't leave any shit lying on the ground. It's a good rule. Right. You could trip over stuff. However, the sheer irony of this rule is what ended up getting somebody very injured one day when trying to keep
flying from the top.
Yeah, but in an effort to keep everything off the ground, I put shit up top and that shit fell.
Yeah.
And it fucking, oh my God, that was fucking scary as fuck. And so it was like a catch-22 because you're damned if you fucking do, you're damned if you leave it on the ground because then you trip over it. But you know, need to get it, you know, you're accounting for all the stuff to go that's audio related to go into the fucking trunk part. But what about all the camera gear? Tripods, fucking, you know, and again, I've never toured with the band. So it's like, I didn't know how to pack to be on tour at all. I didn't. I took way too much shit with me.
Right. That's usually what happens on the first tours.
Oh my God. I learned, dude, there's a lot of stuff that I learned from that fucking tour. Here's an interesting thing that I've never heard you talk about. This is what's interesting that I've learned about when touring, probably, you know, as a first and only timer, this is the advice I would give someone going on their first tour. More than anything else. You tell me if you agree with this. Maybe you'll be like, nah, Jeff, you don't know what you're talking about. Ready?
Right on.
Okay. So when you see someone, like you and I have met several times over the last decade, right?
Right.
But we've never met longer than maybe like, I don't know, like a fucking hour or something. Mm-hmm. And so I've only seen you 1 hour out of 24 hours, which is out of 1 day out of 7 days of a week. Now, if you're on the tour with someone, you're seeing 1 hour that you see said person. Like I might know somebody for 20 years and I've only spent 20 hours with them. You know what I mean? Right. Like that sort of thing. Like, so I've seen the best 20 hours of that person.
Yeah.
But when but when you fucking are with people for the other 23 hours and they see you and you see them, you see everything. It's amazing that any band can tour on, forget about on like a professional, like not professional, you know what I mean? Like on a fucking super duper like label level, like fucking indie bands fucking touring together. Holy shit. That's insane.
That's why there's a lot of, you know, turnover. It's hard to find people who have the dedication, but like you said, like you got to look for key signs, like people who have a certain dedication, a certain responsibility. You need a bunch of dudes who are just responsible fucking human beings, and you just got to look for the right character traits. Sometimes you can get fooled, But yeah, it's when you're on the road in a small fucking space for a month, 2 months, you learn every idiosyncrasy. You just gotta try to pick the right guy right off the bat. I've learned to see certain things. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like to judge too quickly, but sometimes you can just tell now, like, for having so much experience.
You have to do fucking interviews. It's like you have to interview people. You got to like get them to fill out like that's something you should put in your business. Like you're like, oh, you need to hire a touring musician. All right, here you're going to interview these people. Here's a questionnaire they got to fill out. Do they have any allergies? What are their sleeping habits? Blah, blah, blah. And be like, what? I thought we're doing rock and roll, dude. It's like, yeah, this is fucking rock and roll. Like this is all the shit. It's just like, again, to use a car analogy, like, you know, they account for every bit of wind drag, right? You got to account for every bit of wind drag in your band. Like, what is the one thing that's going to fucking, you know, trip you up?
I could tell just by getting audition videos. And I'm not talking about quality of the video. There's, you know, some people don't have good equipment, but that's not what I can tell from watching a video. How close did you come to nailing a song as you heard it? Or did you just play a punk rock beat? Like, I could tell your levels, your attention to detail right off the bat, just by watching a video of you playing a song. Like, I could tell if you're just doing a skeleton or if you fucking nailed every fill and you tried really hard. Like, I already can tell a lot.
Explain that to me. I don't understand that. So you said if you're just doing a skeleton versus every little thing, what is that?
A lot of people just like, oh, punk rock beat, and they just play the punk rock beat, but they don't listen to where the kick drum should go. They don't listen to where the music pushes and pulls. There's an ebb and flow to the music, but a lot of people just hear Dig Up Her Bones. It's just like in their head, it's just like, you know, like they just have that punk rock beat in their head, but they don't feel where it jumps, where it moves. And just right off the bat, like, I could just tell, like, immediately with 45 seconds, like, this guy is actually taking the time to do some homework, or this guy just didn't care, set up a video camera, did it first track, first time, and that was it.
When were you reviewing audition tapes? What was this for?
We were doing it. So Tony couldn't do a tour.
Oh, this is for okay, so this was for drummers. Got it.
Yeah,
I understand.
Tony couldn't do a tour, and I mean, the biggest revolving door in that thing was a drummer. Drummers are hard to fucking come by, and they're fucking busy because drummers are hard to come by. They've always got gigs fucking lined up. So I always like to have like a third string backup for a fucking drummer. I always had a couple of people that I had lined up to fucking play drums for us. But, you know, you look for these small things because you can't, obviously I don't know the person, but like you just look for any small thing does how much level of care did this guy put into learning this song? That goes a long way to fucking figuring those small things out, man. It you know, you could just tell certain things sometimes.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I mean, I guess on the flip side, I look for that in communication. I judge people based on how they communicate and, like, you know, how serious they are about things. And, you know, the more communication I have, the better. And I could be terrible with communication in the sense of sometimes my messages will pile up and then I know I got to fucking just power through them. And it's like,
right.
such a fucking, such a thing, you know? But, you know, I mean, I guess that's not too different from filmmaking in that sort of way, you know, because you're looking for surefire pothole signs where someone's going to trip you up.
Yep.
In areas where, you know, and with filmmaking, it's like a time crunch. You guys might be getting to the gig, but it might be like, oh, I have a window to do this, and this, and I have to do it in the best. So it's like, you know, in that sense, it's like time management is one of the most important factors in creating that kind of art.
Yeah.
You know,
people's social medias are a dead giveaway to a glimpse into their personality. And I'll go down, I'll scroll to see what's going on in your life. If you're going to fucking try to be in my band, I'll fucking see what's going on, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
People leave it all out there, bro. So I could see just about anything.
Oh my God. Listen, you know, I post a lot of shit on social media, but like, you're never gonna fucking really hear about like I'm not one of those guys who writes like a fucking like a novel about what happened to me on a. I mean, usually it's connected. Maybe it's connected to like an Instagram post, and it's my son's birthday, and I'm talking about how much I love my son. But like, not like or at most, it's like a funny story, a funny interaction with a lady at Trader Joe's who's being a total bitch, and like
Right.
you know, it was just a ridiculous situation, and I want to compare it, but it's like yeah, there's some people that just fucking let it all hang out, and you're just like,
Yeah.
why are you posting this?
Like, listen, if you sent an audition tape to me and then I go on your social media site and all you do is fucking complain about your wife, your girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, whatever it is, custody battle with your fucking baby
Jesus.
mama, and it's just like all out there, I'm probably gonna go to the next audition tape.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you get a lot of guys that are just like dying to fucking play drums for Michael Graves too, right? They just all like,
Yeah, there's a lot of fucking tapes, dude.
they
A
just
lot of
wanna
tapes.
get it
The
under their
easiest
belt.
one to the easiest version to skip over everything is I know the kick, certain kick patterns. I would know exactly what I wanted, and I could tell that in the first 45 seconds. If I didn't hear that in the first 45 seconds, I would already move on to the next tape because we had a lot of fucking submissions, bro.
So I don't understand. So you literally do all this shit because you think that's something that like Michael does, right? So you got all this shit going on. You're doing all these fucking jobs, and you ask him just like, dude, just fucking keep your political shit like to yourself. And you just can't even fucking do that.
Yeah.
Can't even keep you fucking happy. Gotta fucking I gotta tell you that was just like, I still am reeling from like seeing that from afar. I don't mean to. I feel like I'm rubbing salt in your wounds. I don't.
No,
I don't
it's
mean that. Okay.
it is what it is, dude. Like it happened. We can't take it back. We all saw it. It was a fucking train wreck. But like the fucked up part about it is that I take it more personally than like I didn't leave because of his political ideologies or beliefs. I left because I felt like he did not give a fuck about me. It's very personal for me. We had an agreement of how we're going to go about our business. This is my livelihood, dude. Like, and I've tried to explain that he set a narrative out there. Because I've been very quiet on the subject. And so he has his own narrative out there that he's a fucking victim and everyone left him. But I'm the one that feels left. I feel like he's the one that left me behind because we had this agreement and how we're going to fucking do things, that we're all about unity and not being divisive and all this shit. And then for that, there's a stretch there where everything was as divisive as possible. And I would call him on it. And I think that's another thing. Like, you need someone in your life that you trust that can tell you, I don't agree with what you're doing. And you need to listen to those people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's, you don't get rid of them, and then now you have no one that's going to tell you no.
Yeah.
So for me, it's more than just what the surface is. It's very fucking personal to me. And he set a narrative where it's just like, now maybe, I don't know, that it was just purely based on his political beliefs, like that, as if I'm that shallow. Like, yo, dog, no, I was your friend and you turned your back on me.
Well, what's interesting, if I may ask you one slightly hard-hitting question, two things. Thing number one, hearing Joe's, like I said, I listen to Joe and you talk on my walks. Hearing Joe tell his story about the T-shirt, you guys had that whole T-shirt debacle situation.
Right.
Not debacle, you know what I mean? You guys were stressed about, you guys were fucking pissed about your gear. He's pissed about his T-shirts.
Right.
And you can't see eye to eye. Right? Do I have the basic gist of it?
Not at that time, yeah.
Okay.
Like, so, as it's happening, I lose sight that all that stuff is his like kind of legacy, because I'm only concerned about my shit. Like, my
that's what I mean. So you can't right. So you don't see eye to eye about, like, he doesn't understand your POV and you don't understand his POV. Right. But what I found, that to me was not like, that seemed pretty obvious. But what I found truly profound was that when he brought up the shirt to Michael and Michael fucking screamed at him, same exact thing you're saying right now about like how he left you behind, in the sense that for Joe, and Joe, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
I am not trying to speak for you at all.
Putting words in his mouth, right?
I'm not putting any in your mouth. This is like an outside perspective of me watching you guys talk about this shit and sort of like reading into the situation as like a fucking third party, a third party with no personal stake in the situation. That shirt that you got when you met Michael Graves was the symbol of your fucking friendship.
Yeah.
That was your friendship. So in a way, the sentimentality of the shirt, it wasn't the shirt, it was like the notion of this friendship with this guy who I've done a lot of fucking touring with, who fucking, helped me, get my shit together, after Mr. Monster and I got into his band and yada, yada, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And this guy being like, I don't give a fuck about your shirt, as in, I don't give a fuck about this symbolic thing of the friendship. And then he does the same thing to you with the one time you're not fucking there. And that's when I was on. That's when I came on. I'm washing dishes upstairs. I hear him literally calling people out, like talk about calling people on their bullshit. I hear him going, so who is it? Who is it? Who doesn't agree with me? Come on. I thought there were all these people that didn't agree with me. And I was like, I don't agree with you, motherfucker. And, and people, various people fucking who remain anonymous, fucking out of the woodwork, people are like, a lot of people watch that fucking moment and were like, dude, good job.
Yeah.
I thought that was so funny. And I just went out there. I was like, and you know what's funny? He didn't know who I was at all. He did not remember me.
Right.
I'm like so much fatter than I was back then. And
we all are. Welcome to the club.
all, whatever. I look like I ate myself. He didn't know. And I wasn't going to be like, hey, remember that one time we like shot a video? Like, I just wanted to be anonymous and just say my shit. But, he didn't know who I was, but I thought it kind of ironic that like, we had a slight bit of a past and then, getting on there. And here's my hard hitting question for you is not hard hitting, but like, so what the fuck? I know he's your friend, but like this info, I guess it was always there. It wasn't like I had seen him wear an InfoWars hat and like, he always believed in this weird shit.
Yeah. Here's the thing, maybe people will hate me for this too, but like, I don't care that he's a conservative. That's not a bad alone in itself in a vacuum is not a fucking terror.
I didn't say conservative. And there's most certainly there is nothing wrong. Again, nothing wrong with being Republican, nothing wrong with being conservative. As a matter of fact, I don't believe in fucking deleting and unfriending people because they fucking vote for Trump. Because you want to know something? We are on not to get political for just a second, we're on the cusp of a civil war, literally the second civil war. Fucking like being in an echo chamber and dividing ourselves just because we believe different shit, even though some of your shit might be more racist,
it's the worst. It's just the worst shit ever.
Oh, it's so bad, dude. We can't, we literally cannot afford to do this just to feel morally superior. It can't happen.
Yeah.
So no judgment on that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things happening like there, right? Like we only go for places to affirm our own beliefs, right? We only get information that we want. A lot of people are this way.
God, you should see my fucking timelines again. I'm in other communities besides. I feel like a fucking no man's land kind of guy because I like. I know people in this community. I know people in that.
I actually feel very similar. I feel like I don't really have a spot. Like there's not a spot for me,
Right. And so I see windows into like, and I see these people that are like, if you believe XYZ 1, 2, 3, that's like conservative on the conservative side, you are automatically associated with racist beliefs.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, Loki, and this is the problem, Carlos. I don't know what the fuck to call you.
It's fine. Whatever. Loki's good.
Here's the thing, though. The distance between what's conservative and what's racist, it's getting closer.
It's getting closer, but also we
almost razor thin. That's the problem.
I do see that people are changing the definition of racism to bend what they would like to say people are racist for. You know what I mean? Like I see that all the time.
Yeah. Just fit their narrative too.
Narrative.
Yeah, listen, you know what? That's totally valid too. And again, the worst thing that I've seen.
It's like when people call like that guy's a Nazi. Like, bro, you are discrediting what the Nazis did. Like people say it all the time so loosely.
I agree.
And it's like, holy shit. Like, do you know what happened? Let me fucking walk you through fucking a concentration camp and then let's talk about it. Like,
bro, I mean, that's essentially what Michael did that offended me so greatly. And that's what I confronted him about. I was like, you're comparing white Christians to what Jews went through in the ghettos in the 1940s.
Makes no sense.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro?
Yeah.
Because what I said to him, I didn't call him a Nazi. I said, if you will go back, if you listen to the video, for anybody who hasn't seen it, I asked him, I said, it sounds like this, which is parallel to this. Right. Please clarify your thoughts. That was what even though I knew what he was already thinking, but I didn't, if you talk to them that way, they just shut down. Yeah. They just shut down. If you want to have a dialogue, you can't fucking insult them. You can't insult the other side. You got to fucking treat them with some modicum of fucking decency. I don't know why I would call it respect, but it's got to be the ability to have a back and forth.
And that was my main problem with how he was acting. There was a stretch there of 2-3 months. I don't remember, but where just everything was just like, it was getting to the point of like, this is what I believe. What you believe is wrong, and it's a lie, and you're stupid for believing it. You're all sheep. I'm like, why would you call your fans sheep? Like, these are people that respect you. Like, you're disappointing your fan base by calling them stupid because they don't believe exactly what you believe, and this is all you're pushing out there lately. You know, and I would say things like that, and it was just like, whatever, Loki. Well, you don't stand for anything. That's what he would tell me. You don't stand for anything. I'll tell you what I stand for: not being a dickhead.
Yeah, man. And again,
you know what I mean?
Like let's to draw, I was talking with Joe in text and we were talking about like some other shit. And I brought up Glenn Danzig in the sense of like, listen, and you know how much I love Uncle Glenn. Everybody knows how much I love Uncle Glenn. Uncle Glenn is into some really out there, weird, fucked up shit. I don't even know what half of it is. I don't want to fucking know what half of it is. But the difference between Uncle Glenn and fucking Michael Graves is that Uncle Glenn might be drawing a fucking swastika on a Red Skull fucking comic book, trying to fucking be provocative and shit. But, I mean, Red Skull's a fucking Nazi. Everybody who reads comics knows that. But Michael Graves is going, I understand. I get it that he's telling the sound guy this is okay. This is, it's funny. This wasn't originally a white power thing. This was originally a joke about white power. But then fucking white power people started to use it for real. So Michael Graves does this. And he sets the whole fucking thing on fire. He
did it in a way, in the context that he used it in order to be as divisive as possible.
Yeah, you keep saying that, and I think that's really the best way to put it. Because do I think like Michael Graves, and I know you've said this a lot, like that if Michael Graves was walking down the street,
complete troll job.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure if he's like walking down the street, he sees a black guy, he's not gonna like be like, oh, fuck you, because you're a black guy. But like, he does. I mean, I hate to clue you in, dude. I know you don't think he's a racist because you've spent like hundreds and hundreds of hours, but he's like fucking publicly stating like some real, like he's talking about like the rap industry is responsible, like just like really,
it's
fucked up, crazy shit.
You know what it is? These are talking points.
Yes, they are.
Of ultra conservatives. And sometimes I don't even know.
Alex Jones.
Sometimes I don't think he knows what the fuck he's saying, because like if you talk to him about the content of what should be in music, he'll contradict himself almost immediately. Of why he supported the West Memphis 3.
Dude. Literally what happened to the West Memphis 3. It's like the same fucking thing. Just replace Satanism with fucking being black. Like what the fuck? So it's like, Michael.
And that's exactly right. And that's my point, that's really not his beliefs. If you ask him what his beliefs are, if you take out that stuff in a vacuum, like he doesn't believe that. But it's a talking point for all this other stuff, so he'll use it.
Right, because he's
doesn't think about what he's actually saying. I don't think like, yo, dog, you really don't believe this because check it out. Let me just fucking let's connect the dots here.
Well, this is the other thing that's interesting. And again, talk as much or as little as you fucking want to about it. Again, like just the simple curiosity from what I've seen. And like, again, I kind of was blown back, and I've been talking about this a lot on the show, the other show, the They Came From Lodi show. about this real realization that the combination of Graves and Jerry and fucking going from Christ the Conqueror into fucking Michael into the Reformed Misfits, that essentially, and a lot of these songs are written about God and about Jesus Christ. And I'm kind of like, wait, resurrection? Fucking, like, I'm like, don't open till doomsday? Fucking Day of the Dead? Like fucking Blacklight? I'm like going, what? These are all fucking Christian songs. Again, no problem with Christianity. Always like to put that out there. Totally no problem. I'm just saying, like, you know, this is weird. Like that when you think of like the Misfits, that you don't think of the Misfits, you don't think of Christianity, but like that this shit was always, he was always like fucking super fucking Christian because he wrote a bunch of those songs. So my question to you is this: you mentioned yesterday in the show, I guess is a little hard hitting, prying. We'll call it prying. Fucking so there were points when you guys would be on tour, or that Joe was on tour, or whoever, where fucking Graves is trying to sort of like be like, hey, Jesus, pretty good guy. Check him out.
Let me interject right there.
Sure, go ahead.
He never did that to anybody.
Okay.
He never did that to anybody.
Clarifying. Okay.
I believe that Jason and Quincy were just paranoid and said that he was doing that stuff.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's not hard to see Quincy do something like that because he's just, that's the way he is. He gets paranoid, like, oh, he's talking about Jesus.
I don't know that guy at all.
Jesus.
Don't know that guy at all. Gotcha.
But in my time, the dude's always been a Christian, and I guess now he considers himself born again. I don't know what that means exactly, but whatever the fact, he believes what he believes, and I'm an atheist. I'm an agnostic atheist somewhere there. But never, ever, ever does he push things. Like he'll tell me what he believes sometimes, but he'll never be like, Loki, you are, you're lost and you need to find a light. No, that
I'm
never.
not gonna lie, my jaw kind of dropped open when I heard Joe saying that yesterday, because I'm just going, because like that did not seem as it seemed like a very private side of that dude that he kept to himself, and that sort of would come out from time to time. Because like I said, you listen to these fucking podcasts and he goes into he calls himself a believer. He goes into full believer mode. And I'm like, holy shit, what the, like, whoa, this is the same guy. It's like, it's just kind of fucking, and then how does Chud fucking figure into that equation too? It's just, it's so fucking weird, man.
Yeah. I don't know. But that's the point, right? We're supposed to be all different and be able to get along.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. Going back for a second to the idea of like what people like wanting to be in an echo chamber and like censoring themselves. And like, I got to tell you, I hate to say this, and I say this as a firm fucking liberal person. I am very liberal. I like to think of myself as like a liberal independent, right? Like I'm independent, but I believe in a lot of liberal shit, but I don't like, I'm registered as an independent. I'm not voting Democrat. I'm not voting Republican. I'm whatever. That just to preface that before I say what I'm going to say. I see a lot of like, these two sides are fucking antagonizing each other. The fucking right are Nazis and the left are fucking communists. And it's like it's like what you said. It's like these names get fucking thrown around. And here's the thing. While on one hand, I agree with you, to call a fucking guy because he's voting for Trump a Nazi is fucking ridiculous. However, and I sit there and I follow this shit all day because as a fucking Jew, as someone who's familiar with the Holocaust, while I don't think we have like a modern day Hitler per se, this dude is doing a lot of shit that again runs parallel to fascist shit. Because what is fascism? Like, what is fascism when you ultimately break it down? What does it mean? It means if you don't fucking believe what I believe, then you're persona non grata, fuck you, you deserve to die, whatever, that sort of thing. And that's essentially what Trump is. But he's not a fascist in the sense that he doesn't want national socialism.
I got news for you.
He's a Trumpist.
I got news for you.
What?
That's what the country is.
Yes, but well, let me finish my point is that it's the same on the other side. Yeah. It's the same on the
that's exactly what I mean. It's what we're all doing to each other.
Well, that's where the Civil War comes from, the divide, and that I see a lot of people that are super fucking left-leaning who literally want to be in an echo chamber with other left-leaning people. They don't want any association with any of these people because they're so mad at Trump that they are like, fuck you for fucking supporting this fuck. I don't want you in my fucking life. And you have to be very careful about what you say online.
Right.
Keep your fucking mouth shut, because people will fucking just take it the wrong fucking way. And you know, on some levels, I think this is beautiful because I've been enlightened on a lot of shit. On a lot of shit. Like using, you know, the word for gay people, the F word. Like, I've come to learn that that word is like extremely hurtful. It's a word I did used to say back in the day.
Right.
It was a very normalized thing to say. I have a lot of gay friends. I've since learned that shit is fucking hurtful fucking shit. I don't say that word anymore, ever. That's, I think, is a good example of enlightenment. Then you have other things where it's like, if you don't fucking believe this, then you are a Nazi and we are unfriending you. We won't work with you. We're going to cut you out. And it's like, so it's like these two sides. And the other side, the fucking Trump side, they just want to stick it to the fucking liberal side. That's all they care about. They don't care about Trump. They just want to say, fuck you, liberal. Yeah.
It's all reactionary.
All fucking reactionary, dude.
It's all emotionally charged reactions.
Oh, it's fucking insane. It's absolutely insane. But you know, and then the other hand, I'm like, this is America's karma. Like, we let ourselves get here by putting a fucking reality TV star in the house, in the fucking White House. We like, what is his qualification? He's a fucking rich guy who's not even rich, as it turns out. You know?
Right.
What's most interesting that I had this conversation, I found that horror filmmakers are incredibly liberal, right? And do you know who's incredibly conservative? Horror fans and horror punk fans. Yeah. Not all of them, but that a huge fucking swath tends to lean conservatively. And it's very, again, I'm not saying that they're fucking Trumpies, or I'm not saying that they're not Trumpies. I'm just saying that in terms
as far as
of
their values, right?
That the fucking people that are consuming this stuff tend to be more conservative, and the people making it, because they're usually making it with some crazy political message,
right?
You know, there's always a fucking message in whatever you're saying. You know, you as a fucking songwriter, you're writing about some symbolic shit that's happened, you know, and using a metaphor to do it. You know, Blitzkid is really great at that shit, right? Mm-hmm. They do it better than anybody with their fucking metaphors, with fucking, using human emotions and, talking about monsters through human emotions and stuff, or whatever, back and forth, that sort of thing. And it's just like, it's like such an interesting thing to see these left-leaning filmmakers making these like fucking very interesting, smart movies with tons of gore and whatever. And there's rape here, there's some whatever here, and but we're doing it with this elevated message. And then the fucking other side, the people that are consuming it and listening to it, in the music side, are fucking kind of
right. I don't know how that works, but maybe you're on something. I don't know.
Well, let me put it this way. I posted on the They Came From Lodi page, which is only 4 years old. I kept that shit under wraps for many years, even though I had been secretly working and not working on it. And one day I decided to post the fucking JFK, the bullet cover with the fucking blood coming out. Someone did a Trump version, and you wouldn't believe the fucking backlash. And I'm like, but hey, this is normally it's JFK.
Right.
It's still a president. Like, what? Right. What's the deal? What's the problem?
I guess that is history, and that happened. I don't know.
I don't fucking know, dude. I was just like, that blew. And people were like, I get, you have just lost a follower on your page, like, that sort of thing.
I get that all the time now.
And I'm like, well, good riddance, because fuck you for like whatever, fuck you. But like, it's just like,
the beautiful thing about being a musician and why I fucking gravitate towards that so much is that I feel like I'm this being that's meant to, let's throw all that shit away and let's fucking get this music where we talk about, like, you're human, the humanity of everything. We're all human here, right? And like, music can touch people in the humanity, in the heart. And fucking, we'll all go to the show together. We fucking mosh together. We fucking pick each other up. Fucking, and we're all there. And I love it. After the show, talking to people to hear how much songs mean to them and all this shit like that is why I fucking am addicted. I love it. And I feel like that was my path of what I'm supposed to do. Also, that's part of it, right?
to unify people together on the stage.
And this goes against everything we were trying to do. That's the, you know what I mean? Like, goes against everything.
Yeah.
Did I lose you?
Nah, briefly.
Okay.
Might be my connection. A lot of, I've talked about countless times on my show where, like, I'm in the pit of the fucking original Misfits, and I turn to this person, that person. I have no idea what they fucking believe. Maybe they fucking don't believe Black Lives Matter, because I personally do believe Black Lives Matter. And like, they fucking turn to me and I turn to them, and the only thought in our minds is, dude, the fucking Misfits are on the stage and they're fucking doing Astro Zombies, and you and me, we're fucking seeing this shit, and we're gonna woe together, and we're just sitting, with the arms like this going, whoa, just getting the woe on. And it's like,
it's important,
but yeah, like, music does sort of unify and bring people together. And again, like, I do believe that all art is political, and I believe that all music is political, whether there's actual politics on the surface or beneath. It could be social politics, whatever the case. But it's like, if you're gonna be fucking political in your fucking music, you better friggin' wear it with conviction and not be, half-assed about it. And that's like what kind of blew me away, because I'm like, holy shit, they've built up this thing. They're going to Australia. Didn't you go to South America, right?
Went to South America.
Go to South America. You go to fucking Europe. You're going all over these fucking places. You're literally, and again, I don't know too much about this business, but the way I think, in the same way that you tack on 6 bands to sort of subsidize the guarantee, right? The promoter has 6 local acts or something like that play.
Well, that's the way they do it in America.
Yeah. Okay. So like for Doyle, I think Doyle's a great example of this. I see Doyle has like 6 opening bands. I'm like, fuck, it's like a fucking festival.
Yeah.
Just for Doyle. And that money probably subsidizes because those kids buy tickets, and then that subsidizes Doyle's guarantee at the door plus merch. But then there's this new level where, and I guess what I'm really talking about is for intermediate bands, because I guess like a really big band, they just get a guarantee and that's it. That's the end of the day. You get these really fucking, you get this other level where you get this VIP situation going on, where you get to do the meet and greet. Everybody pays $50. You guys get a cut of that, however the fuck that works. And then it's almost like that's subsidizing the guarantee. Like, it's like, there's your guarantee on top of a fucking guarantee on top of selling merch.
Yeah.
It's like, what a situation. Like, when I say situation, I mean like a beautiful situation.
It saved our lives.
Oh, I can't even, essentially it's like one thing is covering overhead, the merch is fucking whatever, and then the other thing is like the guarantee. And again, I have no idea, making that up right now. Just off, seems like that would be how it would work. And it's like, the best thing that a fan can do, and I say this to anybody who will listen, the best thing that you can do is don't buy that record on Amazon. Pre-orders are good, but the best thing, you really want to tell a musician that you love them, that you
buy it at the show.
Buy it at the show. Buy the fucking record. Buy a t-shirt. And I'll tell you, from the fans' perspective, I am more likely, if some guys are like, yeah, let's do our shirts for 25, understandably so. But I find that, if there's a cheaper t-shirt, I'm more likely to get the fucking record in the t-shirt than if you try to fucking price out, thinking that people are only going to buy one merch item, that sort of situation. Because I always for a long time, I wasn't even going to stores to get t-shirts. My t-shirts came from the shows that I went to. Beautiful system, and it's all fucking gone, all of it. So sad.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen, dude.
I don't
know what's gonna happen.
I mean, it's gonna come. I think it's gonna eventually come back. I think, and I think that
it has to come back, right? Like, people just are not going to forget about seeing live music. Like, it's not just going to be sponged from our minds. Like, eventually we're going to want to see that again. But there's going to be less venues. Those fucking places are closing down left and right for good.
I was thinking about that. I don't know why I was thinking about that. Maybe it's just because I have my foot so firmly planted in music or whatever.
Right.
or maybe it's just because I'm almost like, you know, a fanboy jerking off from the sides, wishing that I could be doing the same thing, you know?
Right.
But, you know, I was talking with a musician about this the other day, and it's like, I think the fucking solution, I mean, if you really want to start getting your gears back, I think indoor music is dead for the time being. I just don't see it coming back for a very long time. But there's got to be some sort of there are markets. I remember, you know, Joe had a touring book when you guys were doing Darrow. Joe had a touring book and had some really interesting information in it. Like instead of playing like New York City or like hitting up like fucking Jersey, like I don't know, Jersey City or like
right.
Chicago, like it's more lucrative, or it can be more lucrative for an independent band to hit something more remote, because you're going to get a better turnout. Say on like, you know, it's more likely that somebody's going to come out on a Tuesday if it's a traveling act through town, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, how do you translate, but how do you find markets where it's less, there's less population, and you can be in a place that's open air? Because then all of a sudden, if you're not in a licensed venue, how do you fucking make music in a spot that's like not licensed? And then it probably has to be during the day because of noise limits. Right. So it's like an open air acoustic fucking tour is like the way to test shit out, or the way to, and if your music translates, not you particular Loki,
Right.
If your music translates to fucking acoustification, you should be hopping in a fucking car, or you know, you guys were talking about the RV. I think the Dodge Sprinter is really the fucking move if you are like a mid-level band. If you can afford a Dodge Sprinter, right? It's built for the road. It's not going to shake. It has some amenities that make you feel more at home, right?
Yep.
That's what we were in Blitzkid.
We were doing that in Europe.
Yeah, in Europe. That's right. And it's like you hop in something like that, and then you just fucking you go find I don't know, like an open field or something where people can be spread out. You do an afternoon matinee show, super easy. Sell your merch. You could tour. You could tour as soon as the spring. You know, assuming that the second wave is not like as crazy as they're predicting. Assuming that you're playing in a very open space and that people are wearing masks, that people maybe they even have to sign a waiver before they can, you know, if they show up, they have to sign something that says, you know, you have some legalese at the top just to make sure you're not liable, and you play your fucking show, and you could tour.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see. The proof will be in the pudding, but you know, back when I was planning, well, I'm planning things again, but 2021 is like summer of 2021 is where everything's pointed to right now, and even that is like we don't know. But the problem is that if you don't plan for it, you're gonna be left on the outside looking in. So even if the probability of something happening is not great, yet you need to get your name out there that you're gonna be out there and gonna tour and save a spot, because everyone's vying for the same real estate. Everyone's trying to book at the same time. So it's really easy to not have a place to play if you don't fucking try to book it way out in advance. So
yeah, I just don't. Yeah, it's like, I guess you really have to think. You have to think out there. You know, you have to like really think that far in advance. And then what are your views on like all this, like, you know, you see all these musicians, they put the tip cup out and they're doing like the streaming thing, you know, online. Do you think that sort of like fills any void? Or
I don't think so. I don't think so. I've seen some well-produced, like my friends in Darkest Hour recently did a fundraiser for the Black Cat. It's a venue in Washington, D.C.
Oh, I've been there. Great place.
And they did a very well-produced live, quote unquote, live performance. You know, it was pre-taped. They edited a little bit, but like it was, you know, their live show. but it's not like you can do that. That doesn't fill the void of being on a tour and you play a new place every night. Like that happens once, and then that's the same show. What are you going to do? Play the same show every night? It's not how it works, you know?
It's true, unless you change up
Right.
the set constantly.
Constantly, yeah.
I mean, you might as well just be like doing music videos.
And the production, the production that takes, and yeah.
Which reminds me, so what I wanted to tell you about, there's a box, and you can connect an actual camera to said box. So you buy a camera, connect to the box connects to your computer, and then all the shit that needs to go down that your computer is doing, it happens in the box.
Right.
Just like a line in, line out sort of thing. And it's way fucking easier on the computer. It's basically like a video audio interface for your broadcasting.
Right
rig.
on. I need something like that, but I definitely need a camera, like because right now this is a cell phone. Like I have a cell phone here, a cell phone there.
No, I mean, it looks good. Yeah. I'm on my, this is the little phone on my laptop right here. I mean, the little camera, I got to tell you, I really like using StreamYard, but I don't want to fucking pay for, I don't want to pay for the pro version because I can't afford it because I'm unemployed. And, and at the same time, I have a couple of workarounds to use the free one and still get an HD stream. And so I'm like, why fix it if it ain't broken?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Because I mean, you don't need it unless you're gonna fucking stream to different, like multiple pages and shit like that.
Oh, that'd be so convenient, though.
Yeah, it would be.
That would just make my life so much easier. Because my main goal is really the YouTube channel. The Facebook stuff is just sort of like auxiliary, whatever that word is. I mispronounce words sometimes.
I'm trying to build up my YouTube channel too. That's where I want to focus everything. I blast it out to Facebook too, but like, I really want everyone to pivot over to YouTube because I'm gonna eventually start doing more stuff there. So I want a built-in audience there.
Yeah, you said you're banking stuff, right?
Yeah.
I've been going back to previous episodes, and then I've just been cutting clips out of like little micro content and then throwing that up, and that's a way of.
I've been doing that too, but it's hard. Like, it's hard to fucking take the time. Sometimes I'll clip it. I'll just write it down. I'm like, oh, this is something cool we're talking about right now, and I'll just write down the time where it is.
Right.
But I've been doing clips too.
It's a great way. It's a second bite at the apple because there's some people that don't want to listen to the full, kit and caboodle. They just want to listen to a little.
I get it. I get it because you look
like Joe Rogan clips.
Yeah, you look at the video and you're like 2 hours and 40 minutes. I can't invest that kind of time.
It's funny. I'll be honest with you. I started doing this when the pandemic first hit, and I was just kind of like, I always wanted to do video content, and I always, my problem is, and maybe this relates to music stuff. When it comes to editing video, I can become very meticulous and like. I create so much work for myself that finishing the thing almost becomes impossible because I'm already on to the next thing.
Right.
And so I find that sometimes I just got to go quick and dirty. Like I got to hop on here with a camera and a phone. And if my words are not interesting enough to keep you listening, then, and then it's like, you got to ride the line of like, how much of this is, it's not really video. It's a podcast.
Right.
I got to think of this as a video podcast for YouTube. And so really, when I started doing that and started getting consistent, you got to do it every, week and just keep it going. But the problem is there's only so much you could talk about with the Misfits.
Yeah. That's the consistency thing is why I made a schedule for myself. And that a little while into it, I'm like, man, 3 days a week is a lot. That's it's a lot.
Yeah. Oh my God. I couldn't believe you were doing. I mean, that's, to be honest, I probably would have listened to more of your episodes, but I like, I do podcasts too. So I'm like, I like hearing you and Joe talk. So I'll just,
and that's kind of why I had Joe on every Monday. Cause that's less pressure to do other things the other days of the week. But like, that's a steady thing on Monday. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a safety. That's good. That's good. That's the way.
And once we run out of history to talk about, because like, right now it's all been like nostalgia. But I could talk to Joe about anything. Like today we could have talked about Eddie Van Halen passing away, and that could have been like a whole fucking podcast.
I gotta tell you, I literally, there are those people that like, where you don't you literally don't know anything about them. You know maybe one or two songs, but you understand their place in music or in film or whatever, and you respect who they are. And so that's kind of how it is for me and Eddie Van Halen. Like, I know he was like considered one of the greatest guitarists. I know that Van Halen was fucking huge. I'm sure Doyle is fucking heartbroken because that was his like hero. But it's like I feel like I don't even feel like posting anything about it on social media because I never posted about that dude when he was alive. So why would I fucking, you know?
Well, that's the right thing to do if like you don't feel kinship to somebody, you know what I mean? Like, but for other people, like it's a part of their way they grew up. Like for me specifically, why one of the reasons why I picked up a guitar. I probably maybe you know what I mean? Like so
because you're kind of more of a metal, you guys are like metal guys. You guys really like metal.
Yeah, rock and roll and metal. Fuck, I was also like 80s rocker. Fucking people don't know that because it's not, you know, the glam world is not so cool to fucking talk about. But hair metal, glam metal, like all that shit. Fucking, I was all about it. But I was born in 78, so
there you go.
1984, Van Halen. I'm a fucking little kid watching Panama, fucking Eddie Van Halen fucking gliding down this fucking thing in the video, and the jump video was, you know.
Right. I know that song. I know Jump.
I was a little kid. I was hooked. I'm like, yeah, that's fucking awesome. That's what I want to fucking listen to. And growing up as a musician later, like Eddie Van Halen is just so fucking, you know, his sound's iconic. Fucking his playing is fucking inspirational. And that guy innovated so much stuff as far as like tone nuts like me. I love fucking around with guitar tone. I love.
Oh my god, the way you guys talk about that gear is like, you know what's funny? Like you gotta understand, like I could talk to guys about camera stuff all day. Like I'll talk about this or that, you know, the lens, the f-stops, the chip sensor. But hearing you guys talking about like fucking music shit, like, oh, you got to warm up that amp. I'm like, why do you have to warm up an amp? Like all this stuff. It is so alien. It's so fucking alien. Like completely. Like you're talking about, like how do they fucking memorize these fucking electronics?
And I've took the deep dive into this stuff, like audio engineering. I wouldn't consider myself an engineer just yet. I'm more of like a producer type of person that I kind of know how to do the basic things in Pro Tools, but like,
do you understand the physics of it? Like, can you like you understand how a signal travels through this and then it goes through this and
and that knowledge has gotten me through. I didn't go to school for any of it,
right?
You know, and like frequencies, why certain frequencies should sit here so the vocals can stand out, and all that shit is things I'm learning because I didn't go to school for it. But
you know what, we do have one thing in common. I know I mix just the way that you mix, except I mix for audio for video as well. You're mixing for fucking, you know, songs, shit, you know, and the mixing philosophies are so different. I understand. Like vocals are so different when you're mixing, you know.
Yeah, you gotta. There's only so much space in a stereo mix, so you gotta view that as this is the real estate. It's like a rainbow, and all of the tracks that you lay down have to fit in there and all stand out in this amount of space. So you can't just jam everything in a fucking mono mix in the center. Otherwise, you're not going to hear anything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You know what's interesting about that? It's like you called it a rainbow. For us, it's like a I don't know what you call this. It's a fucking equal sign. It's a fucking equal sign.
Right.
No, but what's crazy is like, for instance, everything that you mix sound-wise is all relative to dialogue. Dialogue is the anchor for everything. Right. So my dialogue needs to always sit between, you know, they say it should be negative 12 dB to negative 20 dB, but you know, and this is something that Chud actually taught me, you know, when they were doing the Abominator album. Chud blew my mind when he was like, he's like, I like your Chud dude, you know, I died when I heard you do Chud because it's just so
I didn't know I did a good Chud, but so many people have come up to me like, oh, your Chud kills me.
No, but here's the thing. It's not actually Chud. And you know Chud way better than I know Chud.
It's the cartoon version of Chud.
It's you know what it is? It's the characterization.
Right, right.
It cracks me up, dude. Here you go. When you were telling Chud stories, you're just like,
He does the shoulder leg. Dude, who put the bong? Who put the bong there? The bong juice is spilled all over the ground.
because you know what's funny? I heard all the Blitz Kid guys talk about Chud, and that was when I think I'd only met Chud. You know, I think I met Chud before I met those guys. So, but I never really like thought about. And then the next time I was with Chud, and I'm going, oh my god, this is so fucking real. Like the way he was like, oh, bro, like, or just like he's just so, or the way that you'll talk to him, and he just goes like this. He really does. He just goes, and he has no idea what the fuck you're saying.
My favorite thing is like, right.
Yeah, yes. When I was trying to do that music video with him, I'd be like, Chud, you don't understand green screens. Like you have to it's not going to key out because it's not lit flat. And he'd go exactly that. He go, oh, right. Okay. Just do it anyway. Just do, get super fucking flustered and frustrated. And
did you do this recent video?
No, okay, just to clarify, that's all in a fucking video. I'm not going to talk about all that, but basically, the short version of that is, for 3 years, Chud had been telling me that he wanted to do a music video for his Garbage Pail Kids song, and for 3 years, I would occasionally get phone calls from Dr. Chud saying, "We're going to do the music video, right?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." I'd be like, "Okay, great, bro, great." And and then every once in a while I get a text message like, "Oh, building the stage. It's looking great." You know, like he's like showing me the stage. He's sending me, dude, this is the fucking, you know, it's funny. When I was doing my episode, I was desperately trying to find, this is what Chud sent me. He was sending me this.
Right.
And I couldn't find, and it's like, you can't tell, it's out of focus. He's like, this is what we're shooting. This is the script. And I was like, I can't even read. I'm like, what is it? What the fuck do you want me to do, Chud? He wanted me to do a music video. He was going to hire me to do it. I initially offered to do it for free if he would give me an interview.
Right.
Because it's like clickbait for my Misfits doc. I'm like, oh my God, people want to see Michael Graves and Dr. Chud talking about the old Misfits for sure. You know?
Right.
And as you know, Dr. Chud does not do interviews. He doesn't, like, at all. And there's probably a lot of reasons why, but like, I think it's just because he can't talk. Like, he literally can't, he just doesn't, he just can't form a sentence in the same way that Michael Graves kind of takes forever. He stumbles over his words when he's over. Kind of like that.
He's all over the place.
He's all over the place. And I feel like Chud just doesn't even want to deal with that bullshit. So he just doesn't do them. And so trying to decipher what the fuck he's sort of saying is really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And we had worked once before and it came out okay. This time around, it was a fucking nightmare. As you know, Chud fucking knows how to get loaded. He got crazy loaded. There was a lot of misunderstandings. And I basically was just like, you know what? I'm tired. Oh, that's what I meant to say was about the interview thing. He declined and offered to pay me. And I said, fine. And we didn't discuss money because I didn't, it was kind of like a friendly thing. I'm friends with him and Sal. All those fucking Italian guys, they're just kind of they're fucking good for it, even though I knew Chud was I'd heard Chud was a cheapskate. I was like, he's a fucking old school Lodi, whatever. They're good for it. He'll throw me my bucks. We'll talk about it then. Cause you know what? When you talk money like that in those kind of terms, those guys hate that shit.
Yeah.
They fucking hate it. They look at you like, what? That's where the fucking stereotypes about Jews go. Oh, what are you, a fucking Jew? That sort of thing.
Right.
So it's like you just go, we'll set it straight in reality. And again, not to fucking bring up your situation again, but it's like when I heard you talking about all that shit, for as real as you got with fucking Michael, at that point, even though you guys are best friends, even though you've been through everything that you've been through together, motherfucker, you guys should have had contracts. Yeah. Fucking by that time, if you were that serious, if you were that integral in that fucking band, fucking contract, and a contract with clause where you don't fucking say shit because this is my livelihood too. You can't just jump from being Michael Graves the person to Michael Graves the band back and forth. It fucks with all of us.
Right.
I should have had a contract with Chud, But like, what Chud's gonna sign a contract? Chud wouldn't even know to. He'd be like, what's this? You know, like he just wouldn't even fucking read it. And the shoot went horribly. I started to get increasingly. You know what the problem was, Loki? I started to have this like grand scheme realization of things. I was like, I just don't care.
Right.
I don't care about being the guy that always keeps his mouth shut, because that's who I always was for many years. I'll just take it on the fucking lip. I'll keep my mouth shut, because that's the sign of a real professional. A real professional keeps his mouth shut. If you talk shit, then you're fucking not a professional. And you know what?
Right.
That's what they bank on. All of them. They all bank on that.
It's a bully tactic.
So much so.
Because I am that guy. I would have preferred to have never said a fucking word about this.
Yeah.
Jeff, I swear to God, I wouldn't want to said anything about this.
I believe it.
Just announce that I'm leaving, and then you go on your merry way, and I go on my merry way. But the bully way, the narcissistic way, is that to create a narrative, fully knowing that I don't want to talk about it, and I'm probably not going to say a word, is now you can go on your podcast and do my response to my band and fucking talk all this bullshit and put it in the context that fits your fucking narrative.
Oh yeah.
Knowing that I probably won't say anything, but fuck that, dude. Because like, this isn't talking shit. This is calling you out on I can't just let that narrative go in perpetuity, because now his fans, I get emails from fans like, yo, you left him in the fucking dust, dude. What's wrong with you? You're not a friend. Fuck you. Fuck you,
dude.
Fuck, you have no idea what I've gone through with that guy, for that guy. And we've both done it together. Friendship's a two-way street, right?
100%. Especially at that point when you've been through so much, when you and I didn't know all that about Gotham Road, that you had like, I knew that it was kind of like your vehicle, and that's what I said in my initial episode, but I didn't know as you were like booking all that shit and stuff too. So it's kind of like, I'm kind of like, it kind of blows me away that like you took as much shit as you did. And to piggyback onto what you said, you know what's even worse than when they use their public platform? When it's done behind closed doors.
Yeah.
When it's done fucking quietly, because they know you're not going to say shit. And then they tell everybody and their fucking mother about the real story, what really happened. And you have nothing. You look like a crazy person if you call it out. If you call it out, then you're the fucking crazy one. Then you're the emotional one. Then you're the bitch.
Right.
So it's better just to keep your fucking mouth shut, even as people stop fucking talking to you, or they fucking kind of turn their head to you, because they're kind of like, they kind of think they know what the fucking real deal is.
Yeah.
And after a while, you just get tired of it. You just go, you know what?
They only know what he puts out there.
They only know what is put out there. Exactly. And it's not until you catch someone in the act of talking mad shit that you go, okay, you know what? I am so tired. I'm tired. And that was the culmination with Chud too, of like, this guy is just treating me like garbage all fucking night. He's fucking super abusive verbally, and again, it's like, especially in like some of this music shit, it's like, to use terminology like that, you're a bitch. Oh, what's the matter? You can't take some ball, because it gets all labeled, like, file that under ball busting.
Right.
Oh, you're bitch because you can't take your ball busting. You got to take your licks,
all Jersey ball busting.
Yeah. And again, listen, I'm from New York, and I know I could fucking take, as I once said to Stripes, I said this to Stripes, and I made the mistake, and I never heard the end of it for the rest of those fucking tours. I said something like, Stripes was like, oh man, don't worry, I'm just being a dick. And I said, and in an effort to want to be like cool and like, hey, first guy on tour, like first time on tour, want to be like chill. I was like, don't worry, Stripes, I can take the dick. And Stripes, and I never fucking heard the end of it for the rest. And you know what? I was like, all right, I'll wear it around my neck, man. I'll wear it around my neck. I fucking if that was something you were going to continue doing, like the best thing for you would have been the second tour where someone else is the rookie. Then all that shit goes away. You know what? I wouldn't have. No, you want to know something? I don't know if I would fucking play into that, because I know what it's like. I know what that fucking feels like, and I'll tell you, there is seriously nothing more toxic than being on tour with people and like everybody's at fucking odds. Or Joe uses this word, and I think it's a fucking incredible word. he uses the word morale. And I'm like, wow, what a fucking word. And he always said that the morale on Michael Graves tours was pretty good for the most part. And I was like, holy shit, morale. Like, that is such an important, what an important fucking thing. And it's like, yeah, it's like if you, there's like this machismo of like, oh, if you don't fucking just take the oh, you'll be butthurt. Oh, you can't handle it. And so it's like, to go back to the Chud thing, it's like, here I am just taking all this shit. And you know what's funny? His guys, who will always be his guys, they'll always be his guys when that, why? Because they're fucking nobody unless they're playing in Dr. Chud's X-Ward. Are fucking coming to me and be like, dude, you're handling this so well. When we were on tour, we wanted to leave. We wanted to walk. They all wanted to walk off on his tour. And, I'm sure they talk shit, to him about me when I wasn't there, like, taking his side. But in that moment, I was like, there's some moment of truth here where like they legitimately think that like Chud is a fucking, fucking ass. I mean, there's a reason why. And what's interesting too? They're like, how much music does he really write? Truly. Because, he said he wrote all this shit for the fucking Misfits, but he's put out one fucking album. Look at, even Michael, I'll be honest with you. Between you and me, I think I did hear, like, when he would do the Kickstarter, I'd check out, like, a snippet of this song, a snippet of that song. Again, I was actually more interested in the Kickstarters and watching him just literally fucking just raking in the dough from these Kickstarters. Like, blew my mind. Because, I got to imagine whatever the studio situation is, the overhead can't be that crazy. Like, he's clearly for the amounts that he's fucking charging for this shit, because it would be way more money. So I'm like watching him, like,
But you gotta consider, there's a lot of things to consider.
I'm sure. Listen, I'm looking again. I am looking, and again, not a musician, looking at this from a very simplistic point of view. I'll put that out there with my disclaimer. My point is that, like, you could kind of like, you could do all right, but I'm listening to the shit that he's putting out, and I'm like, I don't like any of it, to be honest with you. I don't think it's good, but I'm going, he's fucking doing rings around fucking Chud.
Here's the thing.
Chud
Good
put out nothing.
Here's the thing. Good is subjective.
Yeah.
It's about how much care goes into said product. That's the thing that you always got to be wary of.
I agree. And when that guy, Mark Allen Stewart, came into the picture, I can't say the same for the video side.
Right.
But for the fucking audio side, I mean, he's churning out, he's getting super prolific. Yeah. He is, and Mark Allen Stewart's treating it like a business. He's like, okay, now Michael, I know what he sounds like, because the motherfucker called me up one day. I was on a short list to be used as a videographer. Right. And you know what my question was? Talk about no bullshit questions. I talked to this guy for 45 minutes. He introduces himself on the phone. Hi, I'm Mark Allen Stewart. I did the Lost Skeleton Returns, and I blah, 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 blah.
That's how much you're going to get paid?
No, you know what I said? That's an impolite question when you're doing videography stuff. What I like to say, because, money's a fucking tough thing, dude. I fucking hate the money side of this shit. I really do. As a matter of fact, I even had a situation where I was like, I was talking to this guy who was in sales for the New York Times. I used to work with him. And I said, I'll give you 50% of everything if you just do all the business shit. You bring in the business and you close the accounts and stuff. I'll do all the video editing and shooting. We'll make a fucking killing. Just doing like social media videos for like restaurants and shit, local.
Right.
And like, that's how much I fucking hate that shit. I would give 50% up just to not deal with it. So my question is, and what I asked to Mark, I say, what's your budget? And the moment you hear what's your budget, it's just like, that's the end of the conversation.
Right.
Talk to you later. That sort of thing. But here he has Michael Graves. He's treating it like a business. He has Michael Graves. And now we're going to do the instrumental version. And now we're going to do, and just fucking making. Because everything is like, collectible, because Michael's association with the Misfits. So therefore it's an extension of a Misfits collection for anybody who's a fucking Misfits fan. It all fucking has some sort of value on some level, in some way, shape, or form. And so he's just churning out shit. And what is Chud doing? Chud literally has made he made 10 songs.
Yeah.
In 20 years? So it's like, how much writing? And it's the same thing with Jerry. How much is Jerry did? God bless you, Jerry. I love you, Jerry. But like, you did The Devil's Reign, which would have been fine if you call it the Jerry only album. It would have been fine. Like, it's not. There's nothing. It's just whatever. But it's like you
Who
did
played on
one
that
album. Dez and the Goat.
That's it.
That's it. And Jerry does a fine job being the Jerry only band, but like, my point is that it took him a long time to make one album. So clearly there's a pattern
there. Yeah.
There's not a lot of, let's put it this way. There's clearly something, what's with the songwriters and the Misfits? Who are the two dudes that are putting shit out? Doyle and fucking Graves.
Yeah.
And so what does that lead me to believe? No matter who says what, I know Chud wrote like Hate the Living and just a bunch of stuff.
He wrote a couple of things that are pretty cool.
And I like those songs. I don't mind those songs. But my question is,
what's up, guys? I hope you enjoyed the conversation. The other half of this conversation will be over on Jeff's channel, which is over here, over there, right there. It's Pizza Punk is the name of his show, but it's over on that link. I will link it in the description of this episode, so go over there to his channel to check out everything else that we talked about. He knows how to get some good shit out of me, so there's plenty there to see. So I hope you enjoyed it. Go over there and help support the other channel. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you next time.